from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
Coming up on Ag Day, will both the Senate and the House move forward on a farm bill? Plus, tariffs and trade, pork producers weigh in from World Pork Expo. And agribusiness developing a summer strategy.
We all know that usually this is our best opportunity to market grain.
How much do meat recalls really cost? And an excellent idea helps this North Dakota farmer fulfill a lifelong goal.
Ag Day, brought to you by the Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Later today, members of the House GOP will gather to discuss a way forward on its version of the Farm Bill and immigration legislation. You may remember last month, members of the Republican Freedom Caucus refused to vote in favor of a new farm bill until a vote was taken on Virginia Representative Bob Goodlatte's immigration reform package. House leadership promised to take the measure up in mid-June and follow with a second attempt at passing a new farm bill. Ag Committee Chairman Mike Conaway of Texas says there are still issues to work out.
I have not been a part of the conversations with the Freedom Caucus guys, the ones who want to, so I don't know what they're asking for, and I don't know what they've been offered to get this done. I know that the moderates have a discharge petition, which is another parliamentary tool that's used for ways to overrun leadership by forcing a bill onto the floor that all the Democrats would probably vote for, and enough Republicans would vote for it that it would pass. That's not the way to run the railroad. Republicans are in charge, and we shouldn't necessarily be using Democrats to make that happen. So leadership's got a difficult role, a difficult path to walk, and they'll get clearer on Thursday morning when we kind of see where everybody's at.
Conaway calling this, quote, a family meeting. House Speaker Paul Ryan is expected to lead the discussion. Meanwhile, the Senate is expected to release a draft of its farm bill legislation this week and possibly today. Tyne Morgan is in Washington and had a chance to ask Ag Committee Chairman Pat Roberts about the Senate bill and what to expect.
When you look at the House version of the farm bill, it was such a partisan vote. Do you feel like the Senate version of the farm bill has reached across the aisle enough that you do have the support from the Democrats to get this bill through?
Well, we certainly hope so. There are people who will vote against a farm bill simply because they want to vote against a farm bill, and a lot of think tanks, behind them. But again, our situation is so dire, and with the trade policy having a question mark after it, farmers want predictability and certainty. Now, in order to get that, I've got to have 60 votes. We have to have 60 votes.
When do you think we'll see language of the Senate version of the farm bill?
Well, I'm pressing very hard for the 13th.
Do you think it will be on the Senate floor by July 4th?
I hope so. If we can do this on the 13th of this month, then we can have a good vote out of committee. There's no reason why you can't put it on the floor and do it that same day.
What do you want agriculture and what do you want farmers and ranchers to know?
I want them to know that we're going to get them a good farm bill. I want them to know they can go to their banker or their lender, whoever it is, a cooperative, and sit down with that individual and say, hey, I'm going to be all right next year.
One of the key changes to the farm bill will be an improved safety net for dairy farmers. This week, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker announcing plans to create a dairy task force in the state. Similar to a group formed in 1985, the focus will be on finding a way to protect the dairy industry during a difficult time. John Vossers with Milk Source in Wisconsin spoke this week with Mike Opperman of Farm Journal's Milk Magazine.
John, just kind of give us your viewpoint on the economic outlook for your operation moving forward over the next few months.
I guess obviously it's been a really challenging time the past 6 months, past year. Our costs have gone up, especially probably from a labor standpoint. Feed has gone up somewhat, and at the same time milk price, and in specific we've had several plants that have reduced premiums as this surplus of milk as we've gone through this. So
you can hear more from Vossers and his thoughts on rising farm labor costs and the impact to his dairy online at milkbusiness.com. After waiting several days for a decision around the RFS, E15 and RINs, word late Tuesday that it's back to the drawing board. Iowa Senators Joni Ernst and Chuck Grassley both announcing via Twitter that President Trump says no deal to the plan that would have made exported ethanol eligible for biofuel credits and allowing year-round sales of E15. Now, Joni Ernst tweeting, President Trump assuring her he won't sign a deal that's bad for farmers, while Senator Chuck Grassley adding that the president helped farmers by rejecting a bad ethanol deal.
The sad commentary is what EPA was proposing to do, to allow the RINs certificates to be applied to exports. And the renewable fuel standard is to promote domestic production, not to subsidize exports of ethanol.
Meanwhile, the ag industry remains on edge as trade officials in Washington continue to push trade partners to rebalance relationships. The #1 export market for U.S. pork pushing back against the president's metal tariffs. Mexico, as we've mentioned, will immediately tack on a 10% tariff on U.S. pork shipped into that country, escalating to 20% in early July. The increased trade tensions between Mexico and the U.S. sent the Mexican peso to its lowest level since February of 2017. At the World Pork Expo, trade uncertainty is a major topic of conversation. Betsy Gibbon is at the show in Des Moines, Iowa, and joins us with more.
I'm here now with Nick Giordano with NPPC. Nick, of course, we need to talk about trade. Mexico now implementing tariffs on U.S. pork products. They're in effect right now. Is it too early to quantify what this could mean, what these losses are for pork producers? Is it a devastation?
Well, let me make it very simple. It's a big problem. We were first hit by China with 25% punitive tariffs. Now we're being hit by Mexico with 10% tariffs, which will escalate to 20% on July 5th. These are two of our biggest markets. Mexico, in fact, is our largest volume market. It's very painful for producers.
When we talk about Mexico, they're implementing these tariffs on, I believe, pork legs and shoulders. What does that mean exactly? Is that most of our imports?
It means basically, to make it very simple, most all the pork we ship to Mexico is going to now have a punitive tariff. So, you know, when you talk to me as a spokesperson of the U.S. pork industry, you're talking to the industry that is the single largest casualty in these ongoing trade disputes. And we're taking the president, Secretary Perdue, and other officials at their word that they're not going to abandon the U.S. farmer. So leadership, staff, we're in very close communication with the administration. It's a bad situation. We're working hard to try and right the ship. Our producers are trying to take the long-term view here.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Reporting in Des Moines, Iowa at World Pork Expo, I'm Betsy Gibbon.
Because of stalled talks, Ag Secretary Sonny Perdue confirming Wednesday the administration is moving toward separate bilateral trade agreements for both Canada and Mexico rather than a trilateral NAFTA deal. Late Wednesday, the European Union announcing it will start imposing duties on a list of U.S. products in response to President Donald Trump's decision to slap tariffs on steel and aluminum imports from Europe. The EU says it will introduce rebalancing tariffs on about $3.5 billion worth of U.S. steel, agricultural, and other products, including bourbon, peanut butter, cranberries, and orange juice. The tariffs go into effect in July. The EU has also taken its case to the World Trade Organization. Cindy Clausen still filling in for Mike Hoffman today and has today's crop comments from the Buckeye State.
Good morning, Clinton. From the crop comments page of AgWeb, a farmer from Henry County, Ohio says he's still trying to finish planting corn and beans in another frustrating spring. Scattered thunderstorms keep falling in the same areas, but a few miles down the road, there's been no rain. Isn't that typical? Well, according to Monday's crop progress report, Ohio corn is 90% planted, 3 points behind average, but it's an enviable crop statewide. 86% is rated good to excellent right now. 81% of soybeans are in the ground, a point ahead of average, and 84% of that crop is good to excellent, according to NASS reports. Let's take a look at the wind forecast. It looks like over the next couple of days, it's really going to be focused in the western part of the country, especially in the plains and in the Four Corners region. I would definitely look out in the southern plains. We've got some fairly windy conditions there with 25-mile-per-hour plus winds. Kind of dies down overnight, but as we get into Friday, we're going to see those winds starting to pick up a little bit, especially in northern sections of the plains and into the upper Midwest. We'll take a look at your national forecast coming up, but here are some hometown temps.
Save time each day and receive the latest market prices directly to your cell phone with market updates. It makes it effortless to stay aware of shifting market prices. Just text Markets 8 to 31313 to get started.
We're strategizing for grain markets next at the Agribusiness Desk. Plus, how costly are food recalls when they hit the beef sector? We'll analyze in our Drovers TV report. Plus, a down-home tale of inspiration through the chicken coop. Details as we head in the country. Mark Fife with International Agribusiness Group, our guest today here at the Agribusiness Desk. Mark, let's talk about the summer strategy, because the last few years we've seen maybe some of our best opportunities to market our grain in the middle of kind of these weather maker months, June, July, August. How do we handle that, and what are you seeing so far?
Well, we all know that usually this is our best opportunity to market grains. We usually see our highs at this time of the year. We get emotional about the weather. This is like game day. We've been practicing for this all winter, and,
That's right.
and now we're really playing, and this is a real game. And we have to maintain flexibility. We do what we call get farmers optionated. It's a trademark term, but a made-up word. It really means that when we meet our targets, we're taking that ownership to an option position and taking it away from the crop. So we've minimized the risk, and now all I have to do is manage that option position for the market for the rest of the season.
Yeah, so you're managing that position, and then you're managing the crop, and hopefully the two come in line together at some point, right?
Right. Well, and the basis of those decisions still are, where are we making money? If the market gives us an opportunity, have firm targets, have orders in place, old crop especially, have orders in place today. Most of that's gone for us. New crop, have orders in place, so if the market, something happens overnight, something happens on a Sunday night, then you're getting your stuff done.
Yeah. As we look at these markets, I think there's a lot of folks asking or wondering, have we already passed those summer highs? Or are there more potential out there?
Well, we've got 3 critical weeks, I think maybe 4, 6 if you really wanted to stretch. I think 20% chance we've seen our highs.
Okay.
We've gotten quite a bit of stuff sold. We'd like to see another rally and get really cleaned up on our program this year, but I think there's still a chance that we take out the highs. There's still enough uncertainty in the forecast maps, enough ridge, enough heat, enough droughty, lack of rain in the maps that we can get the excitement going again.
Well, everyone likes a little bit of excitement, as long as it's tempered and measured. Appreciate it, Mark. We'll be back with more Ag Day in just a minute.
To talk to Mark, give him a call at 248-715-9222 or send him an email at mfight@iaggroup.com.
Welcome back to Ag Day. Here with meteorologist Cindy Clausen looking at the root zone moisture map. And Cindy, you can see right there in the heart of the Corn Belt, boy, it's really starting to dry out.
It is not looking good, especially for those folks right there in the heart of the Corn Belt. Let's take a look. Looks like the northeastern part of Missouri is really, really dry right now as far as that root zone moisture. Again, this is going down like 3 feet. And so we're looking at really dry conditions right in the heart of the Corn Belt, Iowa into Illinois as well. It's very dry in the southern plains and in parts of the Four Corners region. You can see there's some wetter spots as well. Most of the eastern part of the country is doing okay, although it is a little bit dry into the northeast. Let's take a look at what we can expect over the next couple of days. We have several fronts once again. One cold front that's going to be moving through the Great Lakes with a stationary front trailing out into the plain states. We'll see a little bit of shower and thunderstorm activity along with that. Not a ton of moisture just yet. That's going to pick up though as we get into tomorrow. Stationary front still bringing some scattered showers and storms to Florida. A little bit unsettled weather in parts of the southern plains and also into the northwest. As we head into Thursday night, we're going to see a little more moisture coming into the northern plains, upper Midwest, and some of those real dry areas we were just talking about in the root zone moisture. You might see a little bit of rain activity on your crops there. High pressure for the northern Great Lakes and also into the southwest. As we head into the rest of Friday, we're going to start to see a little more moisture as we get into the afternoon hours along our front and especially in the southeast, northern plains as well. Here's your precipitation estimate. It's been right along that stationary front that we've seen the most, but when you tack on the next 24 hours, we're going to be getting some rain in some of the drier areas of the Corn Belt and even into the central and southern plains. Temperatures still hot in much of the south central United States. We've got that ridge building in, 50s and 60s in the northeast, and even some 70s as you get your highs this afternoon. Overnight lows, still 70s in the nation's midsection. You got 50s in the northeastern corners, even down to 48 in Sault Ste. Marie. And then tomorrow we still see the heat, not quite as bad though as what we're expecting today. And then as we head into the northeast, again 70, so much cooler temperatures in the northern corners of the state. And that's because we have a couple of troughs there, one in the northeast, one in the northwest, while we've got that big ridge that remains in the nation's midsection. And that ridge eventually building even further to the north as we get late into the weekend. Finally starts to flatten out though as we get into the early part of next week, so we'll see some cooler temperatures coming down into lakes, but the heat will remain in the southern part of the United States. That's a look at your national forecast. Now let's check out the weather where you live. Buttonwillow, California, lots of sunshine for you today with a high of 85 degrees. New Underwood, South Dakota, showers and thunderstorms with a high of 83, and Amherst, Virginia, mostly sunny, high of 79.
Still to come, food recalls often gather a lot of mainstream media attention. How long can those negative messages impact prices? Plus, this North Dakota farmer is hatching some good ideas for the literary world, but you probably won't be surprised what inspires her writing. In news from our reporting partners at Drovers, beef packer margins continued to grow last week, even as cash-fed cattle prices advanced $1 per hundredweight. The Sterling Beef Profit Tracker showing the average packer margin estimated at $372 per head, up $29 from the previous week. Meanwhile, cattle feeding margins have slipped into the red. Last week, feeders lost an average of $42 a head. Just a month ago, however, feeders were enjoying profits of $107 per head. Also from Drovers, recalls of meat products can affect prices for years, not just a few days or weeks, according to a new study from the University of Georgia. Lead researcher Jeffrey Dorfman says several food safety events or recalls act together, and combined messages to consumers can adversely impact demand and prices. Drovers editorial director Greg Henderson says the economic harm to the beef industry lingers for at least 2 years and suggests the industry must do more to reduce those events.
Over the past 20 years, there's been an increasing number of food safety events, and despite increasing safety control standards, foodborne disease outbreaks continue to impact the food supply. Beef is a common source of foodborne illness, and certain companies have been bankrupted, unable to overcome the social costs and economic losses associated with recalls.
The research shows because of the long-lasting negative effects on recalls on prices, producers and processors should invest more money into trying to prevent them. Sometimes the best ideas come when you're just sitting around. We'll show you how when AgDay continues.
In the country, brought to you by Kubota. Check out Kubota's RTV X1140, a rugged utility vehicle with seating for 4. Stop by your local dealer today or visit Kubota.com.
When you're sitting in the cab during those long, monotonous hours of planting or harvesting, have you ever come up with a $1 million idea? Well, a North Dakota farmer found inspiration while passing the time working in a hayfield. And as Cliff Naylor reports, the results are a page-turner.
Judy Hoff has taken care of chickens since she was a chick herself. Her mother always had hens and roosters around the family farm. Back then, one of Judy's daily chores was to feed the birds and collect eggs.
You guys did a good job.
Today, she's still caring for a flock of feathered friends.
I'm a very early riser in the morning. I don't sleep well, so I'm usually up sometimes 3:30 in the morning, and I can just come out and spend time with my chickens and do my chores real early.
After the birds are tended to, she helps her husband work cattle. The duties of a mother, farm wife, and rancher have kept Judy from pursuing a lifelong goal.
Always wanted to write a book, never really had time. I was haying one day in the hayfield and kind of thought the story through my head and went home and wrote it on a piece of paper and sent it in.
The story she scratched out hatched 1.5 years later into a children's book.
I picked her up and named her Priscilla.
This story isn't just for kids.
I've had a lot of older people buy the book because they said it brought back childhood memories from them doing chores.
there might be a sequel to Priscilla. Judy plans to ponder the next chapter in her publishing career the next time she's passing time in the cab of a tractor. I'm Cliff Naylor, reporting for AgDay.
You can buy Judy's book at Barnes & Noble or on Amazon. That's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in, spent part of your day with us. For all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.